Kia ora and welcome to this collective reading, and this is for this full moon in Leo that's coming up tomorrow. Actually, we're on the 4th of Feb here in Aotearoa, and so this full moon in lovely Leo is coming up. It's sort of been at interesting times as always, and I thought for the next lots of videos will be my headdresses, which I create from recycled materials. I trawl the thrift shops, the op shops for recycled material to make these, which I think they're not all floral. Some of them are a little bit more unusual than that, but I thought it appropriate for this full moon and Leo being about expression and taking the stage and children and fun and all of that lovely stuff. So thoughts on this period leading up, and thanks for joining me if you're joining me again, or if you've just clicked onto this video. We do come out with the astro signs. They're all general readings, and appreciate you tuning in. There seems to be, and it's probably something to do with Uranus, though I am not an astrologer, but I do have a keen interest. There's a quickening. There's been, in an abstract sense, a quickening and a shifting, and some new avenues opening, some new channels opening up for people, whether that's in actual practicality or just in thought or understanding. So let's start shuffling the cards. We'll get into it. We have had major, quite a catastrophic flooding here in our largest city in Aotearoa in Auckland. Massive problems, and we are having a heat wave where I am in the south, and the sea temperatures are up, so we're really feeling all of this wherever we are in the world. We're feeling this shifting and changing even in our environment. So let's see, full moon in Leo collective reading. Remember, these are general readings. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and I always appreciate your likes, subscribes, comments, all of that. It's fabulous stuff. So just one more card. I think, excuse me, we've got a collection here. We'll pull them out and start talking about them. The devil played a big role in the last, new moon in Aquarius. The devil was playing a large role. We come out here with the Queen of Discs. This is doing a review and looking back. We're talking Queen of Discs. We're talking tangible, financial, benevolent. And a lot has been gone through and processed to get up to that hill. It's very Capricornian. You can see it's a South African animal, I think. Are they called a ibex or something like that? It's like a goat. So this queen is doing a review here. There's very much a solidity within this card. There's a large level of security in this card. It's all about the earthly realms. And remembering this is a collective reading for the globe. We then have the Five of Wands. Wherever we're sitting, whatever perch we're sitting on, either doing a review, looking at what's going on, wherever we happen to be, it seems just looking through this storyboard or storyline is with this Five of Wands, there's a there's a lot of there's friction, there's tension, there's a sort of laying down of boundaries in this card. It's not a vicious thing. It's the nature of knowing what lies under, like beating the mat to see what lies underneath. There's something else within this. There's something else. We speak of, the impact of others or the impact of our environment upon our mindsets, upon our attitudes, or more so upon our mental well-being, is what I'm getting from this. We need to allow a level of separation here, a level of like a buffer zone. You know what I mean. When we see the Queen here up, feeling that breeze and looking still on solid ground, but somehow elevated, somehow has created a buffer zone between herself and the rest of the world. Because there's in the Five of Wands, there is a great there can be a great level of confusion because there's a lot of people coming at you or a lot of people around you. I'm speaking globally or collectively if I'm speaking in the first person kind of scenario, but it's this it's media barrage, it's the heightened anxiety and tension that is existing very much so at the moment, currently, collectively. And we need to create a buffer. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually about understanding that whether it's in a large sort of global way or on a just an interpersonal, personal level in our own world, that the concept of free radicals, like all the energy that is around us every day, to a large degree automatically we deal with that in whatever way we do. Sometimes it's quite unconscious, but to be aware of the fact that this is like free radicals, all of this energy, and it impacts us whether we are aware of it or not, whether we're just aware of the odd occasion. But at the moment, it's very much I would say a great skill. This is when meditation, whatever that is for you, comes in handy. It's a great skill to create some distance between yourself at this time. So anyway, I've gone on a bit too long there. We've got the Devil coming up, which was coming up a lot in the last readings for that new moon in Aquarius. The devil is about living life to its fullest. We're only here often for a short time. We don't even know how long we're here. So we need to appreciate life and all its bounty. At the same time, we need to be aware of what we're addicted to or what we are reliant on or how we are codependent, because we all are in whatever ways. And if those ways or specifics are not benefiting anyone, like being an enabler for someone, for example, if that is the case, we're not doing ourselves or that other person any good, are we? The devil, we also see, they are described as fairies. We see these thought forms, the mind as a tool. We can't deny critical thinking, but the mind as a tool that can take us on very much a merry dance. We just need to have our feet firmly on the groomed, as it were. And we do go through and clarify. Then we have the beautiful Ace of Discs. This is almost a three-dimensional card. It's quite glorious. Of course, it heralds the potentials and the possibilities of great abundance. Now, the emphasis here is the emphasis here is that people are a resource and not just a disposable resource for within the system as it is. I'm not talking about resource in that sense. I'm speaking of collectively in your community, in your world. Your people, are a resource. We're not separate entities in that sense. So we need to understand that and see maybe through a more expansive lens. And I think that's important. So let's clarify. We'll just clarify. We'll pull a few more cards from other decks. So the Queen of Discs here, we're speaking collectively. There's a lot going on. The Queen of Discs here, there is a time to digest. More so kind of going inward. I mean, it seems that more often than not lately, the collective readings are kind of all the same to me. It's like, shining a light internally, the Hermit. We don't need to escape. We don't need to withdraw. This is an internal journey. It's a very Virgo card. The Hermit's guiding light. But you see, the Hermit does that for oneself, but also for others. You see what I mean about saying, yes, we are all connected. We embark on this journey on a personal level. It impacts on a far wider level. The impact of your actions can really be. It's about stepping up here with the Queen of Discs. It's about stepping up and being courageous and actually having enough in your tank, as it were, to be of assistance or service, to others and at the same time within this process. So it's quite interesting, and that can be transferred to a collective kind of scenario. 5 of Wands, please. 5 of Wands. Yeah. Is about, a lot of this is about a sort of embarking upon things in a different way. So we have this 5 of Wands. Conflict. I mean, it's about conflict. There's tension in there, and sure, we need to have that in order to be able to maybe change things, negotiate things. We need to know what side our bread's buttered on, as it were. Conflict. Our entire society is set up on a kind of every man for himself scenario, really. I think this is just talking about, in a general way, that we get the Ace of Cups, another Ace. Love in all its forms, in its expansive nature. We're talking about having a full tank, a full heart. How do we go about encouraging that in our lives beyond all the free radicals that are flying around us, and that we deal with every day. I mean, I'm speaking in an abstract sense, they're distracting. We need our feet firmly on the ground. We need, as I said, a full tank. We then have the lovers. This is about integrating the dual nature of thyself, rebalancing, if we're looking in a collective sense, rebalancing the way that things work so it's more equal. There's more equilibrium. People are focused more so on personal integrity than getting past whatever finishing line, the illusionary nature of the finishing line, getting there first. Greed, equilibrium. We see in the lovers it's a choice too. It's a choice. And then we have the Prince of Swords. In this deck, this prince is figuring out the dynamics of power, because the guts of all of this is how we use our own personal power and how that is reflected out there in the entire world. Of course, there's many things in between, but this prince is figuring out the way that power works, the way that it works for us individually, the way it seems to work out there in the world, around the world, and what seems to be acceptable and what's not. And we're so, I guess, afraid of our own power, choices. Like, it's so loaded. We make choices all the time, but sometimes it's like, oh my God, what if I do that? Then what could happen? I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying. So I think, as I said, in the last sort of couple of months, a lot of these readings have been, the collective ones at least, have all been kind of similar. Sort of like this thing of, we've got to get our garden, our own personal garden, kind of as it should be, in order for things to work a little bit more with equanimity, integrity. What happened to all of those things? On a personal level and globally. We've got, looking at the devil here, we've got strength, which is wonderful, because when I speak of the mind and the positives of having a critical thinking, but also that we understand the mind is not always trustworthy. In this, which doesn't help, does it? Someone says, oh, your mind's not that trustworthy. We have strength. So in this card, we see this figure understanding the differences within their own head. Taming that beast with a gentle hand. As I said before, again, that's where meditation, whatever it is, swimming, whatever, mountain climbing, we create a healthy distance around ourselves in order to make good decisions for ourselves, because all of this impacts the whole. What level are we operating from? And it's easy in a sort of Western country, well, I'm in the Pacific, but it's easy to be able to say, I'm not yet at a level where I can barely survive, And there's a lot of people in the world that live at a subsistence level, even though Anyway, let's not get into the whole mishmash of it. We get the beautiful strength card. So we understand the difference between our psyche and shadows and light, and the hermit's here for that. Let's look at the Ace of Discs. Ace of Discs today. Oh, what have we got? We've got that one. Yeah. So, Ace of Discs, a card, a gift of abundance. We're talking about people too, as a resource, not grist for the mill, but as a resource, collectively, individually. There's a strength in connection, and we walk through this doorway. We see it in all forms, right? We get the 5 of discs, another 5. This is about choosing lack. And you could say, pertinent, it is a representation of the victim archetype of which we all have. So we're choosing lack here. To clarify, the Ace of absolute abundance is seeing the wider picture, isn't it? It's seeing the bigger picture. It's understanding patterns of old. It's all sorts of things. But with that 5 comes the 8 of Wands. I do think, as I said at the beginning of this video, 8 of Wands, you'd be familiar with tarot, speed and communication. There's an electrical current. There's an immediacy in this kind of communication. Clarity. I see it. Something is made clear here. I love the 8 of Wands. Messages coming through. So the themes here, really, we're looking at understanding our own internal machinations, I guess. With the Hermit, everything goes out. Everything is reflected back at you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can be a guide for others at the same time. Not a guru, but a guide for people in your own life. This, in its own way, impacts the collective. We see a level of needing to integrate or have some congruency in our lives because we need it collectively, don't we? Integrity. Understanding. If we understand, if some of these leaders sitting on top of the food chain, if they understood the subtle and intricate details of their own power model, their own power map, maybe the world would be a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more loving. Then we see the understanding of taming our mind or tempering it, using it in a really good, productive way, collectively, individually. We see abundance at hand is around us. We need to open our eyes. Messages coming through. A shift, clearing of clouds, whatever way you want to look at it. We've got labradorite or labradite, which is one of my favourite stones, and it's often interesting depending on the light. I've got a piece that it just looks like trees in the night. It's quite lovely. Labradite, shamanic journeying, brave, magical power, higher awareness is the key, I guess, in whatever way we can do that. And just a pixie and fairy card. And higher awareness is not, the goal of that is not just to feel better than someone else. Compadres, counterparts, reflections. We see the world reflected back at us and us back at it. And we all play a part here. This is a mirrored image. And then we have Il the Retriever, whatever this may mean for you, whatever it means for you. Something that is returning to you that you thought you had lost, world. Or individual, anyone who may well be watching, any dear souls that may be tuning into this channel. Something returns to you. And to me it looks like an eyeball of wisdom, because I think the world needs it right now. On that note, do you think we should just grab an animal? Wow. Yeah. We've got beautiful fish. I'm swimming in that tide. We're just about, it's kind of like we're just about to, we're coming down that river, we're coming out to where it joins the sea, and we're just about to kind of venture out into a much wider zone. On that note, thanks for joining me. Do check out all your astro signs, will be up there shortly. If you're seeing this, they'll be up there. Ka kite, have a wonderful full moon in Leo, enjoy it. Dance with it, embrace it. Okay. Ka kite, bye. Cherry.